So this is Wieland, which is named for Charles Brockden Brown's famed early American novel, which involves a bunch of spontaneous combustion and clowns and magic and weird stuff. I just sort of thought, why not? What it is a glitch interrupter sort of patch. So its timing mechanism is based on a Ralabi wave, which I've talked about in some other videos. I'm sure I'll link that in the description of the patch notes if you want to learn more about it. But basically, it's this wave made up of four sine waves, and you have thresholds that are based on whether the sum of those sine waves drops above or below a certain amount. And here, when it drops below a certain amount, it writes into a looper. And when it goes above a certain amount, it reads from that looper, plays it back. So that's the basic premise. You can reseed the Ralabi wave, which will give you a different sort of rhythm to it, and you can change its speed. The faster it goes, obviously, the shorter those thresholds will be crossed for, and so you get sort of smaller glitch artifacts with more speed. And you can adjust the thresholds to get different effects, that sort of thing. You can also randomize the aliasing amount, the sample frequency. So if you set it at, these are the minimum and maximum ranges for that randomization. If you set it at 24,000 hertz, it won't be randomized. But if you want to add that element of chaos, you can. There's also a drive amount, an overdrive amount. So only when it's glitching will you hear this sort of distorted. So you can add a little bit or a lot of the drive for different effects, and you can mess around with the aliasing. Again, my idea here was to create really sort of something that really would sort of like glitch and interrupt the signal that was coming through it. And I'm using this program that I've had on my phone forever called DM1, which is a little like drum sample sequencer thing. Because I think it does really work well with like recorded material, although you can play to it as well. I've definitely run my guitar through it, but the Ralabi wave, the way that it sort of functions, it makes it hard to anticipate when the glitches will come purposefully, and so I found myself like trying to time things that wouldn't time, and that's anyhow. But you can do whatever you want with it. It works with whatever input you have. There are a couple of other features. There's a start position modification, which will it's pretty subtle, but it'll change around the start position of the loop if the loop plays more than once during playback, and you can adjust the rate of that. These two are pretty interesting though. Glitch fade is almost kind of like a blend between wet and dry signal, because basically what it does is control the amount of time it takes for the interruption to occur fully. So the longer that is, the more you'll get a blend between the two. If you have it set, if you have it set, if you have it set to nothing, it'll just automatically do that thing. The pitch glide affects this last part, which is a proportionate mixer of different pitches that you can set it to glitch to. And then you can set the likelihood of any of those pitches being used using this probability matrix. So if this number is higher and another number is lower, then it's more likely that pitch will be selected from the randomization process for that. And you can determine which of those you want. There's also a reverse chance that's global, which will determine whether or not that loop is played back in reverse or played forward. So you have some customization over these little glitches that occur, but the pitch glide determines how much, it's a CV filter in this case instead of a slew limiter, how much the CV filter is applied to changes in pitch. So as you increase it, you get these sort of broken record psychedelic things going on. You can set it really high and then the pitch will never quite settle on anything. And if you set it to 0, there's always something kind of in the buffer waiting to be heard. But if you set it to 0, those pitch changes will happen automatically. So it's sort of a complement to the glitch fade control. And that's the patch. The stomp switches don't do anything in this one. I wanted to just sort of make it something that could be easily ported to ZeBu if you wanted, because I think maybe there's some more applications for it in that realm. But, I think it's kind of a fun remixing sort of effect. And I forgot to mention there's a reverb light that's applied to everything, the wet and dry signal, just because if I take it off, you'll hear the glitches sound so that's kind of cool. The glitches are much more abrasive in that manner. But it does also, it's much starker. There's less of a blend between the two. So you can use it either way. You could, have it for that really sort of like interrupt effect, or something that blends a little bit better with the material that it's interrupting, using the reverb and using the different fades and glides and that sort of thing. And that's Wieland. It's, I hope, a fun patch for you to mess around with and make weird, crazy crap with. Thanks. Take care.